So first of all, I would say the sacral to me is part of intuition. You know, it's an embodied gut feeling, and it's a very, I'd call it clairsentient, intuitive response. It's a very visceral, physical response. Intuition, though, happens in a lot of different ways outside of the sacral, and I think that's important to point out because obviously, people who have an undefined sacral can also be intuitive, and so it's not limited just to generators. So there's lots of different ways to be intuitive. You know, I would love to say, and here's the easy answer, but I think the reality of it is no matter what, no, whether you have an open sacral or a defined sacral or any other ways of being intuitive, you know, it takes practice. There's just no other way. And part of the practice is not so much practicing, you know, you're not tuning in a dial, and like, it's really more having enough repetition and having an experience of accuracy to be able to build an internal pattern of, oh, when I feel this, it's my truth. This is what my truth feels like in my body, right? And that's going to be different depending on different designs. In the 2000s, a long time ago now, I was ranked as one of the world's top 50 psychics. And I actually worked professionally as an intuitive while I was growing human design. And I used to teach intuition development courses. And literally, there's no way around the practice piece, and part of why we have to practice it is, again, part of what happens for most of us is we're so deeply trained to be logical that we don't have enough experience trusting our intuition, that that when we experience our intuition, we can't accept it because it's not in our training to interpret it with reason, right? And so we have to really learn the separate skill of, oh, I can trust this feeling, I can trust this sense, I can trust that. And in some people's cases, if you have the gate 44 defined, that comes off the top right hand side of the spleen pointing towards the will center, you might smell things intuitively. Like literally, you might. I have two daughters, both of them with that gate 44. They're both like weird psychic smellers. Like one of my daughters can smell people. She can smell pregnancy, people who are pregnant. Like she'll know you're pregnant before you'll get a positive test. Like she'll smell it on your body intuitively. I have another daughter. She hates this, but she says, I can smell when children are sick. Like she and again, I said, like, is it a smell? Like, do they smell like they're smelly? And she's like, no, it's just like, it's like a psychic smell. So there's a different ways that we experience intuition. The chart is really good at helping us break down different ways, the different channels, if you will, that we receive intuitive information on. And as I said, certainly we can talk more about that. And I think that's on the schedule. And just it takes practice and understanding. I have to just add one other piece. And I always hesitate to say this piece. So everybody know that you're going to get to hear the secrets behind the secrets. You ready? You ready? Okay. You really have two voices inside of your head. One is ego / the crazy person that overthinks things, right? And one is the voice of God or the voice of source or whatever word you want to put on there. So the voice of spirit in your head, right? And I really believe that the actual purpose of human design as a way of remembering your body and how your body feels in response to truth, and remembering who you are, that the purpose of human design is to really get that ego voice out of the way so that eventually you remember, because I think we start off remembering and then it's trained out of us. You remember what source sounds like inside of you. And you start to realize the difference between your ego in the shower saying, we should do this, and oh my God, if I don't do this now, I'm going to miss out on this opportunity, right? Versus source saying, hey, this is part of your purpose in life. This is your mission, and this is what I need you to fulfill now. You know, the more you continue to clear all those places where you've been trained that it's bad to make a mistake, for example. What if it's a mistake? What if you go there and it's not the right thing? Is that actually a mistake? Are you bad? Have you failed? Or is it just, I wonder what else is here for me, right? But we tend to judge ourselves if our intuition is wrong, for example. And so learning how to be with that voice in your head, the voice of source in your head, and make friends with it and trust it, and learning how to hear the difference in the cadence between that spiritual voice inside of you versus the ego voice, I think is part of the training that we get when we wait. We learn to wait, because every type in human design in the beginning learns to wait through waiting, right? The manifestor type has to learn through waiting for their internal alignment. The generator types learn from waiting to respond. Projector types learn from waiting for the right invitation, right? And of course, the reflector learns to wait because their whole process is so tied to lunar cycles. So that waiting is not really about, oh, waiting is important. The waiting is about healing that rift between ourselves and our path and that voice of source that we've forgotten.